I'm likely echoing a idea that's already been said before, but in my own words, my idea today is you have to be the one. You have to be the one to bring some kind of change, to notice, to ask the question, to put forth the idea. You have to be the one. And it's hard. It's hard when you feel like, you're always doing that, and that, even people you really care about, they're not listening. But I just find there, as ridiculous as it may sound, there is this magical instant where you make that choice and it feels really difficult and stressful and has suffering attached to it. And then you do it and then you see what comes from it and you're so glad you did. Following any kind of idea is so much better most of the time. Disclaimer. As long as it's not dangerous. It's so much better than sticking to a routine. And that is not to make routines seem fixed or rubbish, because they are not. Routines are a safe space, they are ingredients, they are how you can conduct an experiment and make sure the experiment is valid, because there's controls or whatnot. I'm just using words for my own ends, but that makes sense to me. But the willingness to come forth with an idea and to understand you might have to back it brings so much more to it. And I could say a lot of things. I could say, maybe it's the bystander effect that so many of us are just so used to, just there's something that's supposed to do that, not us, kind of thing. And, well, this is how something seems to be, so if I did that, it's not like that, I don't like those explanations, they just seem really dry. But you have to just give it a go and realise, I worry a lot of this is cliche, but it does feel important for me to say. It's because I've done so many things off the bat of this. It's just saying, I'm going to do this. I know I'm not going to be very good at it, but rather than waste all my time trying to research it and get perfectionism because I'm not doing it properly, realise there is no way to do it properly anyway. Almost entirely it's objective a lot of the time. Whether it's writing, guitar, or painting, or, obviously you either install a toilet properly or don't, but I don't think many people are going to want to suddenly just start doing that. But you get what I mean. A lot of the time there is fluidity and spaces in between anyway. And so it's just another trap of the mind, is this unknown, this painful fear. It's just, you just got to realise that, at least for me, you can sort of train yourself to make it go away, but you have to do so much stuff all the time. You have to pretty much, and again, I'm not saying this is 100% the case, that could have just practiced this sort of idea poorly, but I found I had to have such a rigid routine to rid myself of the, what went along with having those ideas and being afraid of stuff. Now I come to realise that it's always uncomfortable, and there is a moment, sometimes I'm not going to pick it, and I'm not going to regret it, because most of the time outside, yes, I did make some mistakes and not go for something when I should have, but again, it only brings me back to the same answer, as I know that it's uncomfortable and it's better just to just realise it will be. But it's not for long, and it very much turns from being uncomfortable to euphoric. I think Burroughs, writer, wrote something like, all pleasure is relief, and I think going through that discomfort of initiating a change, coming up with a new idea, trying something. The pleasure is the relief of that horrible unknown feeling and realising, you know, whatever it is you realise. But for me, it's always that, oh, okay, this is fun, or okay, this is cool, or I'm glad I did this, or it's not that bad. That's very often the case for me. It's not that bad. Biggest example was doing the dishes. It's just like, you know, no matter how many, you know, productivity things I've done, or, you know, routines, or, you cook dinner and you just look at it and you just go, oh, I can't be fucked. But again, like, it's just a perception. It's just, it may even still feel uncomfortable, but you do the dishes. I've always done the dishes most of the time, I believe, and go, oh, I'm glad I've done that, you know, and I don't have to do it later or in the morning, or whatever, you know. I think that is the more important lesson for me, was understanding that it won't be unpleasant for very long anyway. And if it's really, really unpleasant continuously and you've put so much effort into it, then don't do it. You know, that's very clear. I don't think anyone would have done something to that extent and it'd be so unpleasant and they've given up and they've made some kind of mistake. No. I mean, there is no system to define that, and there couldn't be, I don't believe. But it will, most of the time, quite quickly get better, and, you know, you'll be glad for done it. And I had a conversation with someone on a very similar topic regarding this, is that, you know, is the acceptance of suffering. And I get very annoyed with the acceptance of suffering and the whole concept of it, because it's so easy to, when you're in a good mood and you're not suffering, to like, I can see it now, but I've seen all the times when I've been in good moods and good states where I'm so ready to accept it because I'm not actually suffering at that time. And then obviously when you get in a bad state, it's so easy to get depressed, so easy just to get, you know, to give up and go, oh fuck it, what's the point? I know exactly what it's like because I still live it very often, you know, and I never would want to say anything like that. It's kind of like, well, you're just being a baby, you know, get over it, you're just being ridiculous right now. Because I know, personally, I know how it feels to feel like that, and how nothing will make sense, and those answers are not helpful. These really rigid, brutal, I know they work for some people, and it has even worked for me, but it's not appropriate. I just think better than that is knowing that it's going to be shit, but there's something I can do to make it better. You know, for me, it's just like, as bad as it is, I just like, I'll put some music on to do the washing up. I can do it better than without it. I sometimes make myself do the washing up with no noise and some other things like that, but sometimes I just let myself have a little bit of assistance, you know, and then it reinforces that you have the ability to do things, and that it's not just how your mind is going to set it out, that it will not only get better, but like there are ways to make that annoying process manageable anyway, and you can train that. Like I said, I'm not in the belief that you can ever be perfect or train yourself to be perfect. I went too far down the rabbit hole with that, and I made myself very depressed because I made myself so stressed because I just kept forcing. It's not the way to do it. It's not. I can tell you that, you know. I can tell you that from, you know, nearly a year of getting up at 4 a.m. and doing loads of things just because, you know, like, well, this is the routine, I'm going to stick to it. You don't have to do that. But just be brave enough when you can, just to do the bit. Give it a go. Bring forth. A lot of the time it's going to come from you. A lot of the time other people aren't going to come up with the idea. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. A lot of the time they won't, in my opinion. But do it. Not in that just do it way, but if you indulge your curiosity, I genuinely believe a lot of the time you would be thankful you had, rather than sticking to what's safe. Because life is already so boring break out of that in a way that is sustainable, you know, trying something new or progressing an idea you've got within your routine, you know. Like, yes, you can go the other end of it. I'm the best example of someone who's, you know, they've probably wasted too much time experimenting, but I've done so much now, even I have to sort of say, well, I'm going to stick to kind of this, you know. Even I got to that point eventually. So, you know, indulge yourself.